right. Well, welcome to Postmortem Radio. Back again. Oz here with again JK from Horror Hound magazine, staff writer. And joining us today, we've also got Katie, the blonde in front. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. It's been a while since we've seen you since Horror Hound last Horror Hound, right?
Yeah.
Horror Hound.
Yeah. Crazy. Looks like Jay's on set there. He's looks like he's visiting some Friday the 13th filming locations or something.
Well done, Oz. Well done. Yes.
Oh,
this is actually from Blairstown. I used to live there. So I used to live in and around there. So it was very cool and a lot of pictures, a lot of experiences.
Did you really think that would get by me?
I didn't know. Some people would look at it and go, "What's that?" I had someone the night before go, "Oh, that's nice. Where are you?" And I'm like, "You're a horror fan. Okay. Well, not so much."
Are you a horror fan? Yeah.
If
you don't know that.
If they don't get that, they have to give up their horror fan card.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So. You know.
All right. Well, tonight, our topic of conversation, we're going to talk about the new Scream. I guess technically it would be Scream 5.
Scream 5.
But I guess it's did you get is that a little swag that they gave you at the
No, this is actually a friend of mine who's an artist made this from Adam's art box. Very good. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got a lot. I did not get any Scream swag, and I am very upset about that.
Yeah, they weren't doing anything at our theater either. I mean, the only thing that they offered was if you went Thursday night, you got to see, I guess, a Q&A or something. Yeah. Which I did go to for 3 from Hell. I did catch that one, but which was kind of cool. But I was battling the second round of COVID. So the only reason I was even able to go see Scream was because my quarantine days were up Friday.
Nice.
So I was able to catch it on Saturday. After which I also thought I was gonna have to cancel my tattoo appointment. I had another tattoo appointment, and I do not cancel tattoo appointments because it's too hard to get into my guy. He booked out several months ahead of time. So
wow.
But anyway, I was able to actually get there and actually watch it. So I don't know. As much as I love Scream, I mean, I'll open up the floor.
Here we go.
I'll open up the floor to you guys because I don't want to be the one who's always, usually it's Jay always shitting on
right. I'm usually the one who usually shits on everything. So
yeah,
I enjoy. I you know what, Katie, you've known me for a while now, and for anyone who knows me, I am a fan of the new filmmaker, and I'm not a fan of the traditional stuff. But Scream kind of rides that line.
Yeah.
Because it's not really, from the 80s, 70s, 80s, and it's not new. It's right in the middle. So, but usually I'm the one who just loves the crap. I love the crap in Halloween Kills, even though I didn't think it was a terrible
movie. Finished watching it again.
You got way too much time on your hand, my friend. You should go get a hobby.
I work at home most of the time, so
very nice. Very nice.
Since the
look at you with the Scream stuff in the background. I don't have the cool background. Like, can you actually see this? There it is.
There, I can now. It was covering it up, but
that's the Jiffy Pop Roger Jackson sign.
That's what you were telling me about in the last episode.
Yeah,
nice.
He had never signed anything like that, so it was very cool. I got that when I worked in like Sam Goodies so long ago. So it was very cool to be able to actually play. Actually, after sitting in the box forever, actually put it to use. But you got the classic VHS, Katie. I love it.
Classic VHS. I mean, classic as in I got this in 1997 when it came out with this is I think the Courtney Cox version of her face, which I don't think there are many of these.
No, but usually it's the Drew Eyes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Usually the Drew Eyes or everybody on there. But yeah, I have this and then I had Nev sign it.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah,
Can
my
I ask a
poster
real?
is the Drew's eyes with the hand coming up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Because this, I think, is
No, you may not.
very prevalent to our discussion, but we all saw it in the theater. We all saw it on around the time it came out, whether it was
Yes.
the, pre on the day it came out, night came out, or the weekend. How many people were in your theater?
Yeah, it was packed.
Packed, really?
And it has been in my area. Every time I've gone to it, I mean, I go to the theater quite a bit.
Right.
And just about every time I go, it has been pretty packed. But you know what?
Wow.
The thing that really pisses me off, and the last time, I know I'm getting away from it, but when we went to see Spider-Man, No Way Home, where it kills me when you pick your seats, right? Okay. Now, when you pick your seats, you can see what other seats have been selected around you.
Right.
Never fails. I always and there's some jackass sitting in my seats.
Oh, no.
And then they look at me like, what are you doing, dude? I'm gonna sit down here. I mean, these are my seats.
See, I don't have that problem being in front. No one's usually around me on either side, in front of me, or right behind me. Sometimes maybe 2 rows behind me, but I usually don't have that issue since I'm in like the second or first row. But
so
to answer
the
your
blonde in front's
question,
not just a name. It's you live.
That's her.
You legit
That is
sit in the
me.
front row. Oh, I can't do that because I'm like this, man. My neck. I'd be in the chiropractor the next day if I had sat in the front row.
yeah, it's
Even
legit.
with the reclined seats. I can't.
I got a rep to protect. I have to be in the front now.
Right.
But to answer your question, I went to a press screening. So it was all critics in it, but it was full. I mean,
Wow.
It was a long list, and it was, I didn't have anyone. There were people, in my row and behind me, and then everybody else in the back was full too. And between Spider-Man and Scream, and like, I actually had this conversation with some people. I went to Licorice Pizza on Saturday at the Music Box. That was a pretty full theater. It wasn't packed, but it was pretty full. And somebody asked if this is like, if people are feeling comfortable coming back to the theater. And I was like, you know what? I think it really depends on what the film is and how safe they feel. Because, and I think for both of the, especially for Scream, like this has been like hyped up for so long. I think the hype was justified, honestly. We'll get into our reviews, but yeah, I'm glad even with Omicron that people are, feeling comfortable coming in, as long as they don't have Omicron. I want to say that if you have it and you're going to the theater,
stay home.
I curse your family. I curse everything about you. I have not had Ovid, as I call it, because I always say the wrong name. Omicron, Omanomicron. I don't know. But just stay home.
At least you don't have the Necronomicon. So that's what speaks with that. Yeah, and you don't have the Transformer.
I know that once the Decepticon comes along, who knows? But it's more
only a
than
matter of time.
Like, but I can't.
Very good. Very good. One of the things I want to say with this is that I think Scream had the most, which was about 15 people in the theater. That was it. Every other movie that I've been to, Susan Decker and I have been to here in Jersey, has had 10 or less. It's been AMC too. It's not like the Music Box has a great grassroots following and audience, because I was there. We were there and we saw Veronica, which we'll never unsee in our lives. Again, it's all up here. God help us. The Mystery Science Theater 3000 feature release. But Oz, we really haven't had as many people here in Jersey, and we got the A-list thing from AMC where you see 3 movies a week, and it's been wonderful. Every week going to the theater. So.
I've got the movie club with the Cinemark where you get a ticket a month. It's like $9-10, and if you don't go to a movie that month, it rolls over. You just save it, and then you also build up points. You get 20% off of any concessions, and then once you get enough points, you can also redeem, I think it's 275 points for
Wow.
For additional tickets. And then
is the check in the mail, Oz? Is the check in the mail for their promotion?
It
Jeez,
should
dude,
be.
that's
It
wonderful. You know it, man. It's like bam, bam, bam.
It should be.
Oh, dude.
Tonight's podcast is sponsored by
exactly Cinemark Theaters. Make sure you come out for our top deals.
Say hi to Oz while he's there.
Yeah.
And have an Oz while yeah, have an Oz while. Great.
All right, well, let's jump into it. Because well, since Katie seemed to think that the hype is worth is warranted. Yeah, let's let her kick off the discussion with script.
Wait 1 second. Is there going to be? Are we giving any sort of spoilers? So you got to make that a word, or
this is a spoiler. Hey, you know what?
So.
You know we don't bullshit. So I put up when it comes up. This is a spoiler review. So if you have not seen Scream and you can't read and you don't see spoiler when you clicked on the link, if you haven't seen Scream and you don't want anything ruined, there's not a whole lot that would be, but.
Listen to us afterwards.
Yeah. Come back after you've watched it and cut it off at this point, because this is an open forum, and feel free to drop your comments or whatever in the comments below. But this is a spoiler review.
Spoilers.
And I named them as such, as we did the Halloween Kills spoiler review. So this is a spoiler review. So Katie,
spoiler review.
Over to you.
I fully enjoyed Scream. Does it have its faults? Yes, it definitely has a number of faults, but I thought this was a slash-tastic, gory good time. I thought it definitely is a love letter to the original Scream, and had many nuanced little Easter eggs and nods to Wes Craven and so many things from the original Scream. I mean, from the original, it's like bookends. You've got the beginning and the end that are exactly like the original Scream, with at least with the setup of the locations and kind of setup of how it begins and how it ends. Now, the bad part about that, though, is that with the original Scream, and believe me, I've been watching this a lot because, oh man, it doesn't get old watching it. Even after 25 years, Scream, it does not get old.
The original Scream it definitely holds up today. I can watch, and my 14-year-old loves Scream.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't even, my 23-year-old wasn't even born when Scream came out. So, I mean,
my unborn child loves Scream. Okay. You know,
because this fifth Scream is 25 years and 25 days to the date from when the original came out.
Right.
The thing that is definitely different, you don't have that level of acting that Drew Barrymore has in the beginning, when she is just like wrought with fear and the crying. And I mean, you believe she gets stabbed in the throat. You believe that she gets stabbed. I mean, seriously, watching this over and over again, I was like, damn, Drew, you were one of the reasons why this movie did what it did, because one, she's an accomplished and great actress. I mean, you know, Gertie from E.T., you don't expect to get killed in the first 10 minutes of the film. On the flip side, with Scream 5, the actress is fine. It's not that she's necessarily bad, but I didn't think
that opening actress is bad at all. I mean,
no, it just doesn't have that oomph. And also it doesn't have the gore that the first one have. Now, I do think it does have some great slashes that are very realistic. I mean, when she gets slashed in the stomach and you see it and it's open, I mean, that's a definite, like, that's a solid practical effect. The thing is, though, is that this is a 5 foot tall actress, and that knife is almost as big as her. So when she's, you know, again, spoilers, when she survives, it's kind of like, something's up with that. And if I'm going to get into a giant spoiler from the beginning, the fact of who you find out who the killer is some bullshit, because the killer is
exactly
6 feet tall. And then when you find out who that killer is 5'3", maybe. Like, okay, you can put on some platforms, but there's no way that would have happened even on steroids or jumping. And Katie, it's not the only time. This is the biggest problem with me in this film.
Katie, have we entered the era of horror movies have now become superhero movies, where this girl all of a sudden is turned into Rogue or She-Hulk? All of a sudden, this little thing can take on David Arquette. I mean, come on. I mean, it's I'm sorry I had to jump in there.
No,
David Arquette, two-time former WCW champion. Come on.
Exactly. She could be the 24/7 WWE champion with that skills that she's got.
Yeah.
But I mean, Katie, I couldn't agree more with you. And for those who love the franchise, this is probably the third best entry in the franchise. Probably
I would agree.
Third best. It's probably the third best entry. And I'll say everything, Katie, you brought up, absolutely true. But I'm going to tell you something. Radio Silence, who I love their work, Ready or Not, before this was one of the best horror films. I had a chance to see it at Fright Fest. I saw it in the theaters, loved it. I'm going to tell you, folks, I know there's nods to Wes Craven. I know they're trying to go back to the original formula, but I got to tell you something. I feel like they're dumbing it down for the audience. They're really dumbing it down now. And I don't hate this film by any stretch. I think it was entertaining. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that they make it too simplistic. You halfway through it, I went, oh, yep, he's the killer. Oh, yep, she's the killer. Oh, I got that. In the original Scream, and maybe this is poor casting, maybe it's bad acting, maybe it's not to the caliber as you talked about, Katie, with Drew Barrymore, or maybe it's the fact that it's just a paycheck for a lot of people. It could very well be that when you go ahead and you look at this film, there is a lot of flaws with it. But that aside, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to go through it. It's a lot of fun to see Ghostface back. It's not too over the top. It sticks to what it brought it to the dance. And I'll tell you something. Unlike Candyman, I thought Candyman was a much better re-envisioning of it, returning back to the source material. I think it's better than Halloween Kills by a large margin. It's better than Halloween Kills. Oh, that's right.
No,
by the way, Oz, I thought of you when I was watching the screen. Oz, I thought of you. And you know what I screamed at the end of it was? Evil dies tonight. I yelled it at the screen.
Oh my God. Hey, you know what? I've got my issues with Halloween Kills too, but you had me until I still don't think this had a little bit. The opening scene, was probably my favorite of the film, even though the actress, she didn't deliver it like Drew did. The other thing that I think Drew brought with the original Scream was she had a little bit of an attitude.
Yeah.
Other than the only thing this actress had was that she had the attitude that she was a little bit irritated. Drew kind of had a little bit of an attitude of she actually kind of started messing with him a little bit back, because talking about, oh, you want to take me out, like flirting with him a little bit. And then she got weirded out. But she gave him an attitude back when she was like, I saw that movie a million freaking times. It was Jason, she definitely is not. She definitely was not, the caliber. She didn't have the chops that Drew does for sure. But Drew is Drew. The biggest thing that I am not hearing either of you say that I felt was the biggest missing piece of this that made it not even feel like a Scream. I felt like I was watching a Scream documentary. There was the comedy wasn't there. No. There was at all, really. There was a few little jokes in there, but the biggest thing that this film missed is no Jamie Kennedy at all. And I know the others didn't have much of him in it either, because they killed him off in two, but at least they had the cameo in 3. And Matthew Lillard stole that show in the original. I mean, he was my favorite of the entire cast. And that was my biggest letdown was, I loved the, the whole idea, and they leaked it out that it had all the victims had something to do with related. There was some kind of a relation type thing. So the whole Billy Loomis is, I love the fact that she was having visions, and she was fighting.
Oh, but hold on a second. Hold on. What? Okay. I'll tell him. Okay. De-aged Billy Loomis. Okay. It's okay. Marvel definitely didn't have anything to do with the aspect of the de-aging. That was horrific. That was more of nightmare fuel than it was actual something that was quality. And I'll tell you what, Oz, Katie, you tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. I'm sorry. Where was the writing with this? Where was the actual story about those images? Did it ever pay off? Did I miss the post-credit scene? I'm sorry. I must have missed something there.
No, there was no post-credit scene.
Evil dies tonight.
Evil. That's one of the things that I want to say. It's like, look, I love the new group of kids, but there's a major disconnect.
Taylor growling at you, Jay.
Well deserved.
It's okay.
I love the new group of kids, but there's a major disconnect because it's like the main antagonist, Sam, one I thought did not. She is no Nev Campbell. She did not. Right. She's not someone that I wanted to go. And I mean, I'm sorry. Maybe it seems like she's got dead in her eyes. It's like every time we looked at it, and that whole monologue about her finding out who her dad was and stuff like that, I was like, this is kind of cringy. But all of those kids weren't her friends. All those kids are her sister's friends. So, and she hasn't been there in 5 years. And that's when the
babysitter.
And that's one thing about the original Scream is that you knew these people, like you saw these people every single day. You like, it's supposed to be the big thing that it's like, this is someone that betrayed you. And the fact that then they, when they find out that if it's such a secret that Billy Loomis is her father, yet the killer knows because her mom is a drunk and says it all over town. I'm like, would she do that all over town? Would she? Because I mean, she always has some sort of job that's taking her to London and not bringing her back when her daughter's in the hospital almost killed. But I think that was a really that was a poor attempt at everything. So I just didn't get the whole like connection with everybody and stuff because they kept going back to trying to kill like Judy, who was like a subplot character in 4. But I gotta say, I loved Heather Matarazzo.
She was great.
When she came on, I know she got a small part in 3. I still did golf clap. I golf clapped because that was great.
Katie, can I say this? Because I think this is the same problem that the new Halloween franchise has. And that's the simple fact that James Vanderbilt should not be writing, okay? Danny McBride shouldn't be writing a Halloween movie. Same problem I have. And I'm going to tell you something. I agree with everything you're saying. For me, David Arquette stole the show. David Arquette was phenomenal.
David Arquette for me also. And honestly, sorry, I love Jack Quaid. I thought Jack Quaid had 2 of my favorite lines in the film. One shitty, what was it? Sorry, I wrote it down. Shitty Sam Elliott when he said that. Yeah. And when he did this, by the way, can I curse on here? Too late. Spoiler, I'm cursing. I guess I am. And the other one was like, do you want me to take you to 123 No Fucking Way Lane? I'm not going there. That was awesome. And I laughed out loud because I'm like, that was more the lines that I wanted. But let's also talk about that. Sam, who is so obsessed with her finding out that her father is a former serial killer and all that stuff. They live in Woodsboro, which is a town known for all of the murders. Yet when they're driving to Amber's house, they don't know that is Stu's house. Weak. Sorry, weak.
Yeah. Weak sauce. Weak sauce entirely.
Yeah, you would have been like trolling that house since you were 10, because that would have been the house to go to. And the fact that Amber, which again, we're spoiling this, gotta say, her death, chef's kiss, because it also was a little nod to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because that's how she bit it in that too. She's just an angry elf. And I just can't believe that an angry elf would be the one killing Dewey and other people that grew to 6 feet tall and then went back down her normal size.
Exactly. And real quick, Oz, to answer your question, or I think it was your question with the aspect of no Jamie Kennedy. I'll tell you what, you know who was the hybrid of Jamie Kennedy and Matthew Lillard? It was Jack Quaid's character, Richie.
Yeah.
They blended both, and they tried, it cheapens it. I'm sorry. You know what? At least with 4, there was some originality to what they were doing. This was a cash grab that said, we're going to pay as much respect so that way we can go ahead and get every possible dollar we can, because right now the theaters are suffering. I don't care how many big crowds are, they're suffering, and we need stuff that people need to connect to. Otherwise, they're not coming out for it.
Right. Well, and then, another thing's talking about Quaid. Does he not look or resemble Matthew Lillard a little bit? I was surprised that they didn't say that he was a relative of Stu.
It would have made more sense.
That's what I was expecting. If they weren't going to have Stu come in as some kind of a, like he survived or something, then I think that they should have had him. It would have made, like you said, it would have made more sense.
Be like Stu's nephew or something.
Nephew, cousin, I don't know, something. Because I'm sitting there looking at him like, Janelle even looked at me over at me and was like, he looks like, and I'm like,
he looks like him.
I know.
Yeah,
he does. I'm waiting for it, but it never panned out.
I would have loved.
And as much as I love Neve Campbell,
right,
she looked to me like she was half asleep this entire movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. And not only that, I
was not at all.
I thought she was the secretive person who was hiding out. I thought that she had no life. Do you realize if you look on one of the cell phones, I don't remember which character it was, so my apologies, but it says maybe Sydney.
Yeah.
Maybe Sydney.
Yeah.
I thought her number was unlisted. I thought all that stuff. And the
only reason that pops up on your phone when someone does that doesn't pop up just like anytime it's a random number that's never called you before.
She's
the only
had
time
that number.
Pops up, the only time for me anyway, the only time that's ever popped up is if it's someone who has emailed me and it's in my inbox or something, then it says maybe this person. So for that to have popped up.
Character hole.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about another hole? Okay. All right. I know I loved the fact that they were back at Stu's house. Okay. That was kind of cool. I loved the shot in the doorway and they pulled it back. That was cool. The biggest like splinter in my brain, if you want to talk, that really bothered me. And anybody who knows and has watched Scream should be able to catch this. When what's his name goes down to get more beer, when did they just dig out a basement? Because there was no flight of stairs when Tatum, it was just 2 steps into the garage.
That wasn't the same place.
No, the house was renovated. Okay.
And that was a different one because
that was Stu's house. What, right?
No, because
I think it was.
No, because that was when they met up beforehand, wasn't it? Because Stu's house.
No, they were at Stu's house.
So they went to Stu's house. They went to Amber's house twice.
They went to, yes, for that scene, that was Stu's house. They were trying to recreate that scene
because the refrigerator was in the same spot. Yes. The door was in the same spot. All it was like an extra flight of stairs. That it was like, I was like, when did they dig it? I mean, because the garage was just off the house.
Yeah.
There was no basement. And I'm like,
Oz, hold on. I'm gonna pull a screen scare for you. Ready? I'm sorry, I just did the whole basement scene. My bad. Okay, it's all good.
Well, I mean, it has been 25 years, so they could have done a lot of renovations to the house. There is that. I mean, they did change up a number of aspects of the kitchen. It's not, I mean, even though they still have the island in a very awkward place, in the same place, but they could have done, I mean, technically they could have done the whole thing with the beer in the basement deal, although that is a good point. Because that is
I would buy that if they did something with the basement, but it looked like the basement looked in the original Scream, only the stairs were just taller.
Yeah.
Well,
Like if they were going to do something, if they turned it into something else, or
because it's not really a basement in the original Scream, it's just a garage. She goes down two steps,
it's just a garage.
Exactly.
That's the thing. You don't
pull
really
into the
see,
garage. You go into the and that's all it was supposed to be. But this was, they turned it into a big old basement. I don't know that it had. If that was the only way I can get it, is maybe that basement part was a different. They filmed. It was supposed to be the same house, but they filmed it at a different location. You know,
one of the things I did enjoy, and we talked about the pan back shot, we talked about the basement. I enjoyed that they tried to recreate some of the iconic scenes from it. I think it added something to it that if they had kind of gone really fresh like they did with 4, if I remember it correctly, it doesn't have the same effect. And this is a franchise, again, I'm a big fan of Scream. I really enjoyed the franchise. When I had Roger Jackson on years ago to talk about Ghostface and Jojo Monkey, I watched Scream 1 through 4 straight through. And I'll tell you something, you really don't get an appreciation of the franchise till you watch it 1 through 4 straight through. Because too much time passes and you sit there and you go, that when you watch it one after the other, even 4, even 3, not probably being the worst of the entire franchise, you get an appreciation of what this film's about. And Scream 5, as much as I sit here and I'm being the dick about a lot of stuff, I enjoyed it. It was fun to sit through. And I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things was the twins. I thought the twins were fun.
I love the twins.
They were great. And Jasmine Savoy Brown, who's in The Sound of Violence, Alex Noyer's film right now, see it because it is being pushed aside and it is an experimental trip as well as a great profile of an empowering female serial killer. Sorry, Oz, I got to give him props because Alex is amazing.
Oh, no problem.
And that film is a great film, but she was wonderful in it. She had attitude. They played off of each other so well. I don't know who the guy was. So my apologies. I know her because of Sound of Violence. But man, it was so much fun. They were one of the best parts of that friend group right there.
Well, and if you're going, I love her from Leather Jackets. Like, that's how I know her. And she's like, seriously, she's like really hitting the scene with a number of new projects. Like, Leather Jackets to me is the first thing that she's been in. Now seeing Scream, and now what's it called? Sound of Violence.
The Sound of Violence. And Mason Gooding is the other guy. Is that Cuba Gooding Jr.?
I saw that too. He's got to be Cuba Gooding's either.
He is. My
son.
God, I think
it's his son.
Is he?
His son. Yeah. Wow.
I was going to say it was either his son or his nephew, because Cuba Gooding's brother was an actor, not as well-known actor.
Wow.
But
well, I mean, I thought that I loved the twins, and maybe it's me, but watching the killer, since we're spoiling it, there's 2 killers, people. There's 2. Watching the killers, I knew one was a female. I could tell one was a female. I don't know if there's some body movement or whatnot. And I figured with the height and the build, technically, the twins are the perfect people who should have been the killers.
That would have been so much better. I agree.
Because it's like they both had that, even with the whole Dewey thing, she could have, I would have believed, at least with the arm reach going over to the back, that could have happened. With the whole thing with Amber, and then it being like, it actually going back to the original, because the original was all about fandom. It wasn't until Billy said, it's like, your whore mom stuff with my dad, and even Matthew Lillard's face was like, when did that? I love his face during that time, because it's like he's with the audience. It's like, this is brand new information to me. I thought we were just killing people because of
it was fun.
What? So, I mean, it goes back to the beginning about, fanatic fandom, and like, horror movies don't make killers. Horror movies make killers better and stuff like that. And I know from the beginning And so many of my friends who hate this term, elevated horror and all that stuff. I made sure to take down my War of the Worlds and put up my Babadook. I made sure to put up the Babadook. And the fact that they listed like Ari Aster and Jordan Peele and all that stuff. Dude, I love all those films. I also equally love Scream and Halloween and all that stuff. And guess what? We can all get along. Just because you have a terminology and just because it's a different subgenre of horror, which that's one of the things I love. And I always say this, I always love about horror is there's always so many things that it can evolve into, and it constantly is. And there's like different subgenres it's doing. You don't have to hate one and like the other.
You know, Katie,
well,
I thought a lot about
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Oz. Go ahead. You first. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just real quick, I was going to take it a step further and say you don't have to not only hate one and not and like the other. There's films, hell, the new Candyman. There's parts of that movie that I love, and there's parts of it that I don't. It could be in the same film that there's things that you like, and we can. I mean, it's horror movies, man. It's movies and whatever. We can like what we like. We can disagree, and that's what I think is so fun about this. We can talk about it, and we can bust each other's balls and say, hey, you're always shitting on stuff that I like or whatever, but hey, but it's your, whatever it is, whatever. I mean, if you enjoy it, that's all that matters.
And I think that's lost big time, Oz and Katie, when it comes to this, because. And I'm going to reflect back on the scene we talked about with Tatum when she walks in to get beer. Not only is she called the beer wench, but also the fact her nipples are popping out of her shirt. Okay.
Hell yeah.
The reason why I bring this up and the fact that when they redo that scene,
turn that air conditioning up.
When they redo that scene, you look at it and it's really a sign of the times from 20 years ago. And for me, honestly, I think that's one of the things that kind of takes away from the movie. Because I've talked to Ari Aster. I've talked to a lot of these elevated filmmakers because I'm a fan of the new breed of horror rather than the throwback, which I know you two are huge fans of the throwback stuff. And I have such a respect for the new filmmakers. But when you have a movie by originally a man who not only did porn, but did Last House on the Left, but then in the same breath did Music of My Heart, it's you have such a range. But at the core of it, Scream has that grindhouse, that throwback feel to it. Scream 4 even felt a little bit more closer to the original. Scream 5 does not. Every character in there is empowered. And that is wonderful. You have so many empowered characters. The problem is it's at the expense of the horror. And if they want to do that, then be ready to sit there and go, you know what? You don't have to throw a defense up in the first 15 minutes about elevated horror to justify why this is going to be that way. Okay? You don't have to do that. You can just ride it and stick to your guns and say, listen, this is going to be a Scream film that, it's going to touch on the past. It's going to be respectful to Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson and everyone involved. But guess what? It's going to be a different kind of polish, a different kind of shade of what horror is now. But instead, you're trying to ride both lines because you want that dollar, you want those fans. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the re-imaging of the scenes, I love. But the simple fact that everyone there, you're pulling the sexuality out of it, you're pulling the tropes out of it, you're pulling a lot of out of it. That's what classic horror is about. And that's what Scream was a big portion of.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to say I'm trying to put down anything empowering. And I'm glad I enjoyed the characters, but I'm going to tell you, a big part of that heart and soul was gone from this film because that's what the original Scream, if that's what you're going for, that's what you lost in that transition.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of that. I mean, and especially in the original Scream, they had the whole, him sneaking into her room and all that kind of stuff.
All that stuff is gone.
And then you finally they do have the, the love, that they hook up and they have the all that kind of, they didn't have a love scene per se, but at the same time, even to take it a step further, you also had you had Randy, who was, basically in love with Sydney, and he was
a John Hughes character in the Scream movie.
He had a Jones for for Sydney too. And he wanted, I mean, and he was the one in the first one who was like, well, maybe it's Billy. Maybe Billy's the killer. Why? I don't know. Maybe Sydney wouldn't sleep with it. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the sexuality was totally taken out of this.
Was it needed in a lot of it? No, probably
not. But
you took away a lot of the nods that made Scream what it was. And if that's what you were going for, then that's one thing that was lost in translation. Katie, right. Go ahead. I want to hear.
But but I definitely think that they definitely did make sure to take out the sexuality to go more with the millennium style horror that I will say that it is. Because, you know, with Get Out and right. I mean, All at Once, Hereditary and everything. I mean, you don't want to sexualize the females and all that stuff and make them, I mean, you have the teeny tiny girl who looks like she's in 5th grade in a wheelchair with her arm and just going as slow as she possibly can. And yet I also thought that was supposed to be a nod to Halloween 2, one of the most abandoned hospitals ever in the horror history.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, because it's like when I was watching it, it's like, oh, they're trying to do a Halloween 2 because this is ridiculous. I've been in hospitals and so much like, It's a private floor. It's like, I've been on private floors. And guess what? When you have a private floor, that doesn't mean the entire floor is private.
No,
because you don't have hospital, you have private rooms, and you're going to have more attention.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
But no, because I mean, one of the things I like about this is like you got the rules in Scream, and now in Scream 5, you have the new rules. It's like, you know, it's always a love interest. That's always the first thing. Someone that you know is going to be the killer, and I forget what the third rule was. But then when the twins are going over it and saying the stuff, it's like, well, you can't do this, and you know. All these things, it's like, you're not the killer because you have this, and it's like, it's got to be someone involved and all that stuff. So it's like they're mirroring certain aspects of Scream, but then also again making it evolve to the new type of horror that they have. But I do say I love the fact that when Amber comes out of the door and she's like, oh, I've been stabbed, which was exactly almost like where she heads out the door to the side is exactly where it happened to Dewey at that exact moment in the original.
Oh, that was definitely a recreation of Dewey coming out with the
with
the knife.
Although I gotta say, and this is one of the things that I did think was bullshit. It's like, there's no way that Sydney or Gail wouldn't know how to freaking shoot a target. Like that was very like old school horror. It's like, did you guys even hit a window? Like where did the bullets go? You guys both had guns.
Well, and especially when they made a point in the dialogue for, you know, Dewey to ask Sydney, do you have a gun? Duh, I'm Sydney Prescott.
I'm Sydney Prescott. Of course I have a gun.
Of course I have a gun.
I have a gun. I just don't know how to use it.
She knew how to shoot it. She knew how to shoot it, what, in 3? Because,
Katie and Oz, let me ask you this. And this goes back to my point. Do you feel like they kind of defanged the core characters of Scream? Because I could tell you something. Sydney was the Sarah Connors of that film. It's the Laurie Strode now. But in 5, she is a mother with 2 kids who is all of a sudden on the grid, everything. I feel like they made it as bare bones as possible and made this about the younger cast, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
That's
I think they set it
make
up.
it Scream 5. Make it Scream 5. Don't call it Scream then.
Or Scream Again or something.
Scream that's perfect. Scream till your mouth is sore. I don't know.
Or Silent Scream. I don't know.
Oh, I like that. Silent Scream.
Silent Scream.
I think Sydney was a shell of herself in this.
Yeah.
And I think they were clearly setting this up to pass the torch on to, you know, this was going to be her last one, probably Courtney Cox's last one. And they killed off Dewey to, you know, so that they could bring in some new characters to carry it on. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
I hope not.
I honestly hope they don't carry it on. I mean, again, I actually want people to see this film. I enjoyed this film. Again, I started off saying it has its faults. I know it, but I enjoyed the hell out of watching it. and all little things that, you know, all little nods and mementos from different films, and even just the sayings from different films from the original. Love,
Yeah.
love, love, love,
Yeah.
love, love, love.
I love
But
the
I
nostalgia.
hope to God they do not do like a 6 or 7, because honestly, I thought the best part of the film was Jack Quaid. I thought this is basically David Arquette's best performance I've seen him do in a Scream. And yet when I watched it, I even said, I could show you my notes. It's like, you know what? I think Dewey's going to die. And then I was like, oh, he's totally going to die. And this was before you get to the hospital. It's like, oh, he's totally dying. Oh, he's totally going to die. Oh yeah, no, he's dead. He is dead.
I liked that they didn't over exaggerate the limp or the, you know, the injuries from the previous. They made it a little bit more believable. But
I like that they talked about it, because he made sure it's like, I've been stabbed 9 times. I don't need to go along with you guys. I'm good.
But you know what? I'll say this. As much, and again, Dewey was one of my favorite characters. I even applauded after he died because he gave so much to the franchise. But I'll tell you something. Them making sure that we all knew he had a limp was their way of justifying the girl killing him. That's the way. He's injured. He can't do anything. He has that showdown where he's going to face off against Ghostface, who is 6 foot, and then comes down to 5'3". I'll tell you what. I don't know what the relationship between the writer and the director, or the writers and the directors, what this is, but I can tell you that Radio Silence probably didn't have much input into the script, because if it was anything like Ready or Not, which I really wish it was, this would have been a far superior movie than what it was. I honest to God believe that. And I wanted to hear the hide and seek song in it. I wanted to hear that from Ready or Not in Scream. I would have loved that, man. When they're in the house and you hear it in the background, man, that would have been awesome.
Oh, you know, that was one of the things too. I was disappointed in the soundtrack. I thought they definitely could have used better music, or even, I mean, I don't remember like them going back to a lot of the stuff like that.
Give me D'Angelo. She's always in my head from Scream 2. I want to hear that in the soundtrack. Yeah.
I don't know.
So
thought that definitely could have been better.
I agree.
Yeah. What else was it? I still like the movie. I still love that Gail Weathers wearing that bright red outfit that she does, which is very reminiscent of.
Let me get her face. Hold on. I got her face. Hold on.
Stop it. Yeah, she does.
Oh, come on. She looked, I'm sorry. It looks rough. I'm sorry.
I said the same thing.
Oh,
I mean,
it looks rough.
Again, watching the original and then watching, I mean,
it kind of looks like the Babadook. It kind of looks like the Babadook.
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
All right. I don't want to shame people for their.
No, I'm not trying to be like that, but I'm going to tell you, when they get work like that done, it doesn't look good. I'm sorry. You want me to apologize? I'm sorry, everyone, for saying that.
No, I'm not saying that.
But it's
true. It didn't look good, but
man,
you know, I don't know. I never understand how people that are just naturally attractive, why they want to. I don't. I mean, I agree.
I agree.
I wouldn't change a thing if I was a woman and I looked like Courtney Cox.
I'd get some hair. Okay, I'd get some hair first and foremost. Okay, I'm just saying.
I mean, and it goes for guys too. I mean, look, you can ask Mickey Rourke, and I was just watching the new version of The Longest Yard too. I mean, I was watching the new version of The Longest Yard from like 10 years ago, and seeing Burt Reynolds, like, you know, rest in peace, buddy. But you want to talk about this? It's like that.
Well, and Kenny Rogers. I mean, the same thing. I mean, he had so much work. I mean, why? He was a good-looking. I never understood that.
Okay,
let's get off that.
So, but let's finish it up here.
Wrapping it up. One last thing that I gotta say is, I was a little disappointed in. Honestly, I mean, there was some gore there. Yeah, it was bloody, but I was disappointed in the kills.
It's elevated. Sorry.
because they were all pretty much, stab slash this, that. There was no creative in any of the kills at all. I mean,
when she went through with the knife on his face and you see it coming out, that was pretty good. And also the thing with the neck, that was pretty good. But to your point, it's like, from the first one, when you got Drew Barrymore gutted and like everything's coming out, you don't have any of that in this. And while I do think that the practical effects looked real, like honestly more real than you see, and everyone's still, it's the horror trope. If you get shot or stabbed here on your left side, that's what's going to happen. You're going to bleed. You may cover it up and not tell anyone and then reveal it later, right before you die, which is a major horror trope. We all know that from watching that. What's wrong? It's like, I got stabbed 30 minutes ago, so I don't have much left. That's what's going to happen. I feel like almost every single person in this film got shot or stabbed right here in this same spot. But yeah, to your point, it definitely there were overkills. I feel like people got overstabbed and whatnot. We didn't get to see a lot of that. They definitely could have done more of that. I agree. I did like what I saw with just the practical, and I thought that was realistic. And I actually liked the gore, but it definitely could have been gorier if they're doing, or unless they're doing this, like, a new genre, like elevated slasher.
Right.
Did I just make that new genre up? Oh, look at that right here. Let's trademark it, boys.
I think it's absolutely on par what you're saying, Katie. And one thing I will say about this, as we wrap it up, and this is something I brought up before about not a payoff for the Billy Loomis, de-aged thing that looked more frightening than anything else in the film when it pops up. I mean, it's terrifying. But I will say this. If there's going to be a Scream 6, you better believe that the character of Sarah and what she does at the end, she sits there and she unloads gun on his corpse. I mean, she just puts hole after hole. And that's what I'm hoping, if there's going to be Scream 6, which I don't want, but if they're going to do it, which they probably will because of the money, I hope that it's all about her psychosis and we see something that we haven't seen before.
It's Sam.
I said, Sam, I'm sorry, Carpenter has happened to use Carpenter. It's like, come on.
You combine it because her sister's name's Tara and her name's Sam. So you put it together and that was Sarah. But Sam. But I don't think Sam is a franchise actress. That's just me.
I don't know. Maybe. I
mean, I couldn't remember her. She was in The Heights that I saw this summer and I couldn't remember her.
Yes. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. Again,
but it was a lot of fun.
I hope not, because I just thought this was fun, just like the Ghostbusters. Well, maybe not with Ghostbusters, because I want them to start stuff with Winston. But I just hope this stays what it is, saying thank you to Courtney Cox and David Arquette and Neve Campbell too. And even Skeet Ulrich coming in, the pictures of Jamie Kennedy. It was a little sad they didn't have any sort of photo of Matthew Lillard. And then the weakness of his cousin, who was like a skeevy guy, which why are you making him a skeevy guy going after the football guy's girlfriend? Why can't you at least make him like if he's going to be an older guy, then make him have stuff in stocks and he's rich or something. Why it's like, hey, I'm white trash, but you know what? We can get it on and you can cheat on me with your boyfriend. What? That seems really cheap. And it's like, why would you do that? It's
you must be swimming in boyfriends. Katie, you must be swimming in boyfriends doing that, I'm here. Look at me.
What? I'm single, ready to
cheat on your girlfriend with
go,
me.
Ladies. Yeah.
You're the best.
What? I mean,
you're the best, Katie.
Yeah, I thought that was if they're going to do something with Stu, they should have done something better. And I agree. That would have been nice to have Jack Quaid be Stu's nephew or something like that. But hello, movie gods. It's great that Jack Quaid's even alive since they reference his mom twice in the original. So, I mean, was it given that he was going to be in a sequel of Scream? If he ended up acting the way he did, yeah. And the fact that he's, great. Sorry, I've got a major man macabre crush on him. Like, I just think he is so cute.
I don't know.
That's me. I think he would have been. I would have loved it if he would have led a new Scream thing and like ended up surviving. But wait, the amount he got shot, stabbed, and shot in the head, that ain't happening.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. And hey, guys, everybody out there, Scream stuff's not over. Come March, Cincinnati, Sharonville, Horror Hound, March 25th through the 27th. We've got the Scream reunion.
That's right.
Nev Campbell's going to be there. Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard. Who else may show up?
HorrorHoundWeekend.com, baby.
Be there. We'll all be there.
Yep.
Come check out the film festival. Yes. But well, thanks guys for joining us tonight, and everybody out there. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Drop any comments, likes in the comments below, and maybe we'll read them on the next episode.
See you then.
All right, and go to Horror Hound, get some signed ghost face swag, so that and then you can post your pictures and show them to us, and then we'll rank them or some shit. Who knows? All right, thanks a lot, guys. Be safe, take care of each other, stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you in the next one.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'll be
sure
right
it's
back.
not the same as yours. All right, take care, guys.
Bye.
See ya.